Hi everyone, my name is Erik Adler and today I saw Spider-Man Homecoming in a local theater here in Munich. I am a big fan of the first two Spider-Man movies by Sam Raimi from the early 2000s, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, because these movies are not just very funny and very good action movies, they also have a heart. You learn really a lot about the characters, not just about Peter Parker, who is Spider-Man, but also the villains. They have really have a personality, they have a background, they have a life outside their criminal activities, and Peter Parker also has a personal relationship to the villains in both these movies by Sam Raimi, which gives it an extraordinary depth which you normally don't find in superhero stories. So these are very interesting movies which I can absolutely recommend you to watch if you haven't seen them. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, the first two, the third is terrible. Please don't watch that one. I also watched The Amazing Spider-Man Part 1, which I thought was okay. I didn't watch Part 2. And now to Spider-Man Homecoming. How is this movie? The good thing is that the movie tries to do something new. It takes care not to repeat things that we have seen over and over again, like for example the death of Uncle Ben, which meant a lot to Peter Parker and made him into Spider-Man, actually fighting crime. We don't see it in this movie, and there are a lot of other things which we have seen already, which the filmmakers took care not to include. But there are also great weaknesses in the movie, and the main weakness is that the story is not that interesting, it is fairly boring, and the characters are superficial. I think Tom Holland is not that interesting as Spider-Man. He doesn't have the personality and the depth in his performance that Tobey Maguire had. Of course, he's also much younger than Tobey Maguire was when he played in the first Spider-Man movies, but you don't really relate to this character, I think. You don't really care about him. He seems fairly flat and boring, and there's also a sidekick, a friend of Peter Parker, who is the only one except for Tony Stark, who is Iron Man, who knows about the fact that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and this sidekick is really stupid. Now these are of course school kids, they are 15 years old, but still this sidekick, who is this fat boy, he acts in such a stupid way that you really hate him, and this took me out of the story already at the beginning of the movie, because it is revealed to this sidekick fairly early that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and this sidekick also has quite a lot of screen time. I think a lot of this screen time should have been given to Aunt May instead, who is played by a younger actress than in the early Spider-Man movies, which I think is okay. But this relationship between Peter Parker and his surrogate mother, which is Aunt May, is not really developed, which is strange because Uncle Ben is dead already, and Peter Parker actually has a certain relationship to the villain in the movie, played by Michael Keaton, but this is revealed very late in the movie, and it feels fairly forced, and it is also not really expanded upon like in the first Spider-Man movies. The humor in the film feels very forced. There are a few scenes which I liked, for example when Peter Parker is in the suburbs of New York, so he's not able to swing himself with his web between the skyscrapers. He has to run on the ground, and in one scene he also steals a car to go to some place quickly because he's not able to jump from building to building. And of course he's 15 years old, he hasn't driven in a car before, and this is a fairly comic scene where he is about to crash this car again and again. But except for these two scenes, I was really bored by this movie. I was waiting for it to end. It was also fairly long. It runs 133 minutes, I think. It was an expensive movie. It cost $175 million, and you can see it, of course. It looks good, the effects are really good, but because the story is so uninteresting and the characters are so flat, if you're interested in a movie with any kind of character and a good story, then this is not something for you. If you just are a super Spider-Man fan who loves everything about Spider-Man, then I guess you would like this movie. But if you want a story with a certain depth, you are going to be disappointed. So personally, I am not able to recommend this movie, which is unfortunate because I like the first two Spider-Man movies that much.